Have you ever stumbled upon a memory so vivid, so haunting, that it leaves you questioning the boundaries of reality? Sometimes, the answers we seek are buried not in the present, but in whispers from the past. The VHS tape clicked into the old player, its mechanical whir a ghostly reminder of the past. The screen flickered, static dancing momentarily before the scene emerged. A dimly lit living room, curtains half drawn, morning sunlight seeping in to illuminate a tiny version of me. The room felt familiar, yet distant, like the blurred edges of a half-remembered dream. This was a relic from my mother's private archive, a treasure trove of my early years. Her voice, as always, narrated from behind the camera, soft but laced with a tone of wonder. I was 4 years old, scribbling furiously on a piece of paper, my tiny hands barely able to hold the crayon properly. I was immersed in a world of my own creation. My mum asked me the same question she did every morning during our ritualistic recordings. What did you dream about last night, love? Without hesitation, my young self replied, I had a dream of a man and a lady showing me the birds and the plants. The moment froze in my mind. I watched my mother's figure in the old footage as she paused. Her voice faltered slightly when she spoke next. What did they look like, sweetheart? The man had white hair and glasses, I said, with the certainty of someone recounting a lived experience. The lady had a flowy dress, like a flower. They showed me lots of birds, and we fed them. Then we picked flowers. In the video, my mum's voice grew quieter. Just like that, I nodded emphatically and went back to scribbling. The footage ended abruptly, but the mystery it left behind lingered. I rewound the tape, replayed the moment, and stared at the screen as if the answers would leap out at me. Something about the exchange stirred a long-buried unease, like a cold draft seeping through an unseen crack. Uncovering the photo album, the memory had always been there, dormant but never forgotten. That afternoon, after watching the tape, I called my mum. I needed to know more. Do you remember filming me when I was little? I asked. Of course, she said, her tone warm but cautious. Why? I hesitated. There was a tape, one where I mentioned a man and a lady in my dream. You showed me a photo after that, didn't you? There was a long pause on the other end. Yes, I did. I'd forgotten about that. Who were they? Her voice softened. My grandparents. Your great-grandparents. You never met them. They passed away before you were born. I felt a chill run down my spine. And you never told me about them. No, I didn't. You were too young, and, she hesitated again. I thought it would be too much for you to understand. But I recognized them, I whispered. How is that possible? The birdhouse and the garden. The story unfolded in pieces as my mum's voice wavered with emotion. Her grandfather had built a birdhouse in their backyard, an elaborate structure designed so her grandmother could walk inside and feed the birds directly. Her grandmother, an avid gardener, had spent countless hours tending to her flowers, creating a vibrant haven of colors and fragrances. You described it exactly, Mum said. The birds, the flowers, it was their world. I don't know how you could have known. That night, as I lay in bed, sleep refused to come. The image of the man and woman from my dream burned vividly in my mind's eye. I tried to dismiss it as a coincidence, a child's imagination filling in gaps. But the more I thought about it, the less sense it made. My great-grandparents had been strangers to me, yet their presence in my dream had felt as real as the sheets I clutched in the dark. A second encounter. The days passed uneventfully until one evening when I decided to visit my mum. She had dug out the old photo album she'd shown me as a child. The moment I saw the photograph, A jolt of recognition coursed through me. There they were. The man with white hair and glasses, the lady with her floral dress. They smiled serenely, their eyes alive with warmth and wisdom. "That's them," I said, my voice trembling. "That's who I saw." Mum nodded, her eyes glistening. "I knew you'd remember. I just didn't think it would stick with you this long." But it wasn't just a memory. That night, I dreamed of them again. This time, the dream was clearer, more vivid. I was back in their garden, the air heavy with the scent of blooming jasmine. The man knelt by the birdhouse, filling a small feeder with seeds. The woman knelt beside me, her hands gently guiding mine as I picked a bright yellow daisy. "You'll always find us here," she said, her voice soft yet firm. "This place is yours too." When I woke, tears streamed down my face. I had felt their touch, heard their voices. It was as if they'd bridged a gap between worlds to reach me. The growing mystery. I became obsessed. I wanted to know everything about my great-grandparents. Mum shared stories, but there were gaps she couldn't fill. I turned to my aunt, their only surviving child, for answers. They were spiritual people, my aunt said. Not religious, but they believed in connections, to nature, to people, to the unseen. They always said the garden was their sanctuary. "Do you think they could still be there?" I asked hesitantly. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Why do you ask?" I hesitated before recounting my dreams. She listened intently, her expression unreadable. "They've reached out to you," she said finally. "I'm not surprised. They'd want you to feel connected to them. But be careful. These things can draw attention." Attention. She waved the question away, but her words left a seed of unease. The final revelation. One evening, unable to resist the pull, I visited their old house, now abandoned and overgrown. The birdhouse still stood, though weathered and broken, and the garden was a tangled mess of weeds and forgotten blooms. Yet, as I stood there, a strange calm washed over me. And then I saw them. They stood together, just as they had in my dreams, their forms faint but unmistakable. The man smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. The woman raised her hand in a gentle wave. Neither spoke, but their presence filled the air with an overwhelming sense of peace. I blinked, and they were gone. Was it a trick of the light? My mind playing games? Or had I truly glimpsed something beyond comprehension? I may never know. But one thing is certain. They left a part of themselves behind, a legacy that lives on in the whispers of the wind, the rustle of leaves, and the fragile beauty of a bird's song. And perhaps, in those quiet moments when dreams blur the line between reality and the unknown, they still reach out to remind me that I am never truly alone. If you enjoy this kind of content and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay updated. Have a unique and personal story to share? We'd love to hear it. Email us at goretutorial9@gmail.com.